Now, the shares of Naspers rose almost 8% on Friday, which resulted in the share price of Naspers closing the day trading around 1,607 rands. Now, this made some of the Naspers investors, or those that are investing to be into this Naspers, to be excited, as this was a stock that was being hammered a lot. And of course, those of you that have been following us for some time, you'll remember that I've already discussed some of the main things that have been dragging this Naspers stock down. In fact, in my previous video, which of course it was titled "Buy Naspers Before June," I knew, or I was anticipating, the shares of Naspers to start with the recoveries, which, getting to see that it came on Friday, it is something that is truly amazing. As to me, already there were signs of saying that the Naspers stock could recover. But to those, of course, that don't know why this Naspers stock is recovering, or recovered by almost 8% on Friday, well, you'll be explaining as to what really happened, what really caused the stock or the Naspers shares to rise almost 8% on Friday. Now, before we go any further, please note that this video is just an entertainment video, and you should not take it as a professional financial advice video. Otherwise, I'll really appreciate if you can just tap or hit that likes button if you enjoy the content that I'll be giving you or bringing to you about this Naspers stock. Now, for those of you that have not watched the previous video I did, I think that was a week or two ago, where I was explaining as to why Naspers shares are falling or this low from their 52-week high. Please, I would recommend that you go and watch that video. But in a nutshell, the video was about the fact that Naspers shares, the reason why Naspers shares are falling this sharply is because of their holdings, or Tencent Holdings, which is a Chinese tech company. Now, you remember that this Tencent, which is the Chinese tech company, or one of the biggest Chinese tech company, you remember that its shares has been dropping quite sharply due to the crackdowns that the Chinese government imposed, or started imposing, early last year of 2021. Now, you remember that these crackdowns that the Chinese regulators were imposing in these big tech stocks, they were trying to regulate, or they were imposing them, trying to regulate or fully regulate or take some control on these big tech companies. Now, this is something that has been happening from early last year in 2021 to date. Now, one of the good news, of course, that made me to release my previous video, or the previous video where I was talking about Naspers and say buy it before June, it was because these Chinese regulators, I think a few weeks ago, came out and said that they are realizing that this crackdown which they're imposing on these big tech stocks, it is sort of like slowing down their economy. It is really affecting the Chinese economy, which is why they hinted on that article which I cover on the previous video where I was talking about Naspers, and said that they are saying that they are thinking of holding or stopping with this crackdown. Now, on Friday, to get to see China coming out and announce that they will be putting to an end this crackdown, it is something that is amazing, and it is the very same thing that made shares like Naspers, Tencent, Alibaba to recover. I mean, these crackdowns, I mean, they were making these big companies to lose money. As you remember that the Chinese government was also imposing fines, which resulted in these big tech companies to pay the Chinese regulators, which is something, was one of the things that have been making investors to be hesitant on investing in those big Chinese tech stocks, which is something that, getting to know that China came out on Friday and said that they will be ending this crackdown, it is something that is amazing, and again gives hope and gives or increases the sentiments around the Chinese big tech stocks like Tencent, which, by the way, it went up by over 11% on Friday, which is something that must just show you of what a wonderful news this kind of headlines were to those big tech stocks of China. Now, you remember that the reason why this article, as I've said, or these crackdowns affect Naspers is for the fact that Naspers, you remember that they own Tencent. They own 29% of Tencent, which is why whatever happens to Tencent, if it makes the share price of Tencent to drop, the shares of Naspers will also drop. So they are directly proportional to each other. Tencent stock goes up, Naspers stock will also sort of like go up. When Tencent stock drops down, Naspers stock will also drop or falls due to the fact that the Tencent stock is also falling. So they are directly proportional to each other, which is something that you must be aware of. Now, to get to see that China comes out and say that they will be putting to an end these crackdowns, it is something that made the shares of Tencent to rise by over 11%, which then also positively impacted the share of Naspers, which is why you saw them also rising by almost 8%. Now, you remember that as per my previous video, some of the analysts or local analysts believe that Naspers should unbundle Tencent so that Naspers real value can really come out, because they are believing that Naspers, there is no doubt that it's way undervalued, but the reason why Naspers stock is not performing the way it should, or it's not trading towards its all-time high, is the fact that they have got this Tencent, or they own a bit of Tencent, or they are one of the major shareholders of this Tencent company, which is why their shares have been impacted really bad. But with the fact that the Chinese government now it is saying that they will end the crackdowns, I don't think investors ought to be worried about the fact that Naspers shares are dropping this low. I think it's an opportunity, or a good opportunity, for investors to probably load the boat on this Naspers stock. It is exactly the same thing that I was saying. The message still remains the same. I still believe that Naspers, it's still a very good buy, and investors must consider, of course, loading the boat onto this Naspers stock or buying it for the first time, because this is a stock which is just set to do very well. I mean, this stock, we covered their financials, or their annual financials, which ended in December of 2021, which were so amazing. I won't go into those financials or earnings again, but I would encourage you to go and have a look at their earnings. You'll know that, or you'll notice that this is a company that is doing quite well. Now, Naspers is a stock, like I said, which I continue to be really bullish on, because this is a stock which is just set to do very well. This is a stock that is trading way below its all-time high, and the fact that there are still analysts who believe that Naspers can even trade even much higher than its all-time high if they are to unbundle at Tencent, it must just show you the kind of value that this Naspers stock present to investors like you and me, which is just simply means that on this low, or looking at this low trading price, it's an opportunity for you to probably consider loading the boat or adding this stock to your portfolio for the very first time, because this is a stock which is just set to do very well. Now, China said that on Labor Day or after Labor Day, they won't be imposing these big probably sanctions or imposing fines on these big tech stocks, which just simply means that from that after Labor Day, we are not to expect to see these crackdowns on these big tech stocks. And by the way, the Labor Day, it's from 30th of April to 4th of May. So after the 4th of May, then of course there won't be any crackdowns that the China will impose on these big tech stocks, which is positive news, or which are positive news, which are making me to believe that Naspers is a very good buy right now. You ought to go and probably increase your holdings or buy this Naspers stock for the very first time, because this is a stock that one way or the other it will do very well, especially that the Chinese government or Chinese regulators are now not going to further impose crackdowns on these big tech stocks. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I should give you this quick update as to why are the Naspers shares trading, or ended up closing Friday trading at almost 8%. But like I said, this is not financial advice. These are just my opinions, and you should not take it or take them as professional financial advice. These are just all my opinions, but I believe that this is the perfect opportunity for you to probably load on this Naspers stock. I don't know how the markets will look like when the markets open on Tuesday. So you know that on Monday it's a public holiday in South Africa. So I'm believing or hoping to see some continuation in this uptrend onto this Naspers stock, because the fact that the Chinese government is stopping, or is finally going to stop these crackdowns from the 5th of May going forward, it's something that I think it brings hopes, confidence to those that invest into this kind of stock. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And before you load the boat, increase your holdings, or buy this Naspers stock for the very first time, please do make sure that you do your own due diligence, that at least you can be comfortable when you are investing into this stock. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in the stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.